Alrighty, it is that time of the year when I'm going to rank 5 of my most favorite communications videos for the first time. I'm just going to give you a list of 5 videos that have helped me a lot grow as a communicator and understand the language inside out. Obviously, all of these communication videos are in English only, so it will help you with your English skills, but it's not limited to that. It will also help you become a good public speaker, to become a less nervous speaker, and have an action plan to move forward with. Because you know what, back in the day, I used to struggle with this thing a lot, because let's say if I had a problem, I wanted to work on that problem specifically and not all the other things. And so I wouldn't find a video that talked about my specific problems or the real problems, to be honest. And I kept surfing and surfing and surfing. Ultimately, I've come down to a list of these 5 videos. And some people even ask me if I repeat watching the same videos ever. I almost never do it. But these 5 videos are just on top of my list, and so I have watched these videos repeatedly, especially the first one. So we're gonna get into it, and it's going to be really fun for you. This is some fresh content, and I wanna keep my YouTube fresh for you guys to keep learning and growing and to progress with a dream-like speed. You know what I mean? Dream-like speed. Let's get started. Okay, so we're starting strong. I'm gonna give you my top video right away. This one goes right on top. This is my #1 most favorite video at the time, and it's called Communicate with Confidence, the Blueprint for Mastering Every Conversation. So this video is from Mel Robbins. She is the podcaster, and she invites a bunch of people on her show, and she has really substantive conversations with them. One thing about Mel Robbins is that she is a woman that you'll be able to relate with, because even though English happens to be her native tongue, she's had a lot of problems with communication, both written and spoken communication, concentration, public speaking, ADHD, and this woman is just fantastic. She's so open about the struggles that she's had, and now she's helping us understand a lot more about communication than we do without listening to experts. You know what I mean? So she brings a bunch of experts on her show, and she asks them the most real questions ever. Because if you come from a place of problem or trouble yourself, you know what questions to ask. And she's had problems with anxiety, public speaking. Fortunately, she's been able to overcome those problems, and she is, kind enough to share the tricks and the methods with us. She definitely has the right methods. If not, she has the right questions to ask her guests. But this is not the woman that we're going to talk about. I'm talking about the guest onto this episode, who is called Jefferson. He is a lawyer from the United States. And when I started watching this episode, I felt like I've seen him somewhere. I've seen him. You know what happens, right? When you see someone and you know their face vaguely, but you don't remember from where, or you don't remember their name or anything. I started listening to the conversation one day out of nowhere, absolutely nowhere. And then I listened to the conversation for the first 5 minutes. I was completely hooked. I did not know that till then, but when Mel Robbins asked Jefferson about his journey, and he talked about how he got started, talking to people, making reels and TikToks from the front seat of his car, just speaking so confidently, talking about communication tips and tricks, it just blew my mind. And I kept listening to that video for the next 45 minutes. I guess I watched the full episode in the first go, even though I was in paucity of time that day. I remember I was doing a bit of cooking in the kitchen, and I thought I can use the cooking time for listening, but I kept listening to the video even after I'd finished my dish. So that's how good it is. And the best point about this video is he talks about the importance of communications, and he does not leave the listener with just that. There are a bunch of key takeaways from this conversation. He says this one line that stuck with me is that you are what you speak, because communication is the biggest part of our personalities. Because when you talk, it compresses your whole personality, and that is why we all talk in our own ways. We all talk in different ways, yeah? And so he talks about that, and he tells you how he's managed to, flip difficult conversations on his side to his benefit, to his advantage. Obviously, he is a lawyer and he knows how to do that, but he will give you the simplest of tricks on how to come out of difficult situations in terms of communications, and not just that, but to make the other person feel like you weren't in trouble. You know what I mean? You were never in the wrong. It is just psychology and the choice of words. We're not talking about any dark psychology tricks, getting someone to be obsessed with you or anything like that. Do this to have him obsessed with you. He's not talking about that. He's talking about real things, the style of speaking, the choice of words. He will give you some words, I guess a list of words that you should be using more often in your conversation to sort of sound like a manager, to sound more authoritative. And many people want that, even though they have the position at their job. They feel like I don't sound, I'm not doing justice to my job with my style of communication. This guy is going to help you exactly with that. And like I said, he is a lawyer. He has to deal with difficult situations in terms of communication and just putting his point across, convincing people, the judge, the jury, and to give the best representation to his clients in the court. It is not an easy situation to be able to do it every single time and so well. And that is why when he talked about his journey, as in how he started making videos on his iPhone, just sitting in the front seat of his car and giving some tips, people just went crazy watching his videos, and his platform grew really, really fast. And that's how he started making appearances on these podcasts. Another thing that you should know about this guest is that he is not somebody who has an educational background in communications or psychology, I guess. Maybe he does, it doesn't talk about it. But he's somebody who's learned all of these things from his own life, his personal experiences. And even he says it is not an elite thing to become a good communicator. That means anybody can be a master communicator. And this is something that you must have heard a lot, like anybody can do whatever they want to do, you know what I mean? But he goes on in detail, deeps into it, and explains how it is possible for literally anybody to become a master speaker. A few more things that I remember from the podcast is that I remember at one point Mel was talking about a conversation that she had with her husband the night before the podcast, where they got into a bit of a confrontation, I guess, and she said something that did not land well with her husband. And then he said, this is how you can flip the situation around. And she was so shocked. She's a person who talks to so many professionals out there, and she was still so happy with the personalized advice that Jefferson gave within seconds of time. So that's how brilliant this guy is, and this video is definitely going to help you. Don't skip any bits of it. Watch the full thing, and I want you to come back and tell me what is the best point about the video according to you. Now, going to number 2. I have my phone right here. I cannot stretch it out because it's plugged in. A little bit of hydration. Alrighty, this is an old video, like a comparatively old video, because it said it was uploaded 13 years ago. And I guess many people have watched it because it has some 3.4 million views. And I'm seeing a lot of clips from this video, but I guess you should watch the whole thing, see it. It's called Improve Your Speaking. Very simple. Connor Neal. This is a Spanish guy, and the thing about the Spanish guy is that he's not a native speaker. He's from Spain, and he is actually a leadership coach and a very renowned speaker, and this is his job. And in this video, he talks about the magic number of 10,000 hours and how, unless you achieve 10,000 hours of practice in any field, in any art, you are not going to become a master of the art, a master in your field. And the same goes for speaking. Obviously, this 10,000 hour thing applies to every field or line, but he uses the number to talk about the importance of consistency and daily practice in achieving our goals related to communication. As the title suggests, he's actually going to help you with a 10-day plan. The video starts with the question, how can I improve my communication in the next 10 days? And this guy just goes full on professor mode, answers the question, deeps into it, and you'll really like what he says. Whatever he says is pretty practical, and he talks about recording yourself, he talks about journaling, and he talks about a lot of other things that are practical. I wouldn't say it's very easy when you look at it from a distance, because if I say you have to complete 10,000 hours of practice speaking in English, it might sound like a hard job for you. natural, but when you break it down into small pieces, into chunks, and you do it every single day, bit by bit, you'll actually achieve the mastery without even thinking about it. So consistency is something that I talk about constantly. I tell this to my students in the private lessons, and I tell this to my listeners on YouTube, that consistency happens to be the only problem, the only challenge that's stopping you from becoming a natural speaker of this language. If you're able to maintain this, everything else will be so much easier. But I know it is hard, and so you need to be told exactly what to do and how to do. And once you start seeing results using that action plan, again, it will make far more sense to you. So give a listen to this video. I guess this is only like how many minutes long? Under 10 minutes. So it is, yeah, it's actually a short video that you can watch right after watching this video. And I want you to take action, because it talks about a bunch of actionable advice that you can start following in your life every single day. Again, use a calendar, cross over each day when you complete the activity. And even if you do it for the first 10 days, you'll definitely see the results. Listen to the first video as well, and listen to everything that Jefferson speaks about very carefully. Mix the two up for the next 10 days, and you're gonna be back on this video commenting that you've seen wonderful results. Okay, so here's the third one. This is third on the video, but second on my list, and the last one goes third. So here's what it's called. Unlock your brain's hidden power, 6 tools to boost focus, confidence, and creativity. Strong, very promising, and so is the video. The quality of the conversation between Mel Robbins and Dr. Jeff Karp, I guess, Jeff is the first name for sure, just stands equal to the promise in the title. Trust me when I say this. Now, here we're talking about, he's actually a doctor. He is a biomedical engineer, as I remember the title, yes. And he teaches as a professor at Harvard Medical School. So we're definitely talking about some big shot here. He's a professional in what he's talking about, communication and how the brain works and all of those things, especially things like, why does our brain freeze? Why do we get excessively nervous that we're not even able to make a single movement? And how to solve these problems, And he goes on a step-by-step basis, because see, he talks about 6 tools to boost focus, confidence, creativity, and he exactly does that. So instead of remembering it as 6 tools, you can also remember it as 6 steps that he talks about. And one of the most important highlights of the whole video was the importance of taking breaks while having conversations. And also, not gonna lie, before watching this video, I never took breaks in between my conversations, as in not taking pauses in between my sentences. I'm not talking about that. This is a different concept. Let's say you're in a meeting or in a presentation, and it is just going on and on and on for a few hours, and your brain wants a break. But obviously, because in our society, we do not really embrace the importance of breaks so much, you feel the obligation to sit there continuously listening to the people talking or listening to the presentation, even though your brain is not fully there. So he talks about this because he says it is all in the breaks. For example, if you're having a conversation that is 1 hour long, after 20-25 minutes, you should take a break of 5 minutes, just go out, take a walk. And this is not a social media break. I'm just repeating his words. This is not a social media break. Just stretch your legs, go for a walk. And if you don't want to get up from your place, just sit in there, tune out from the conversation, breathe a little, and you'll see that your brain starts remembering things that it was forgetting. It always happens in our conversations, doesn't it? You have 10 pointers, but you only remember 5 or 6 or 7 at most while talking. And when the conversation is done, you feel like, oh, I had these points to mention as well. Somehow I forgot. And these were my favorite or the most important points. You're not going to get that time back. So it is better that you take a break of 1 or 2 minutes in between your long conversations. That is exactly what I do in my lessons as well. Or if I'm studying, for example, if you're studying for like many hours, let's say you're studying for 3 hours straight, that is not going to help you remember everything. Obviously, putting in those hours is great, and you shouldn't be cutting down on the hours exactly. But he talks about the importance of breaks, as in your brain actually takes the time to recharge, and to recollect the things that was put inside it, but it like shoved it somewhere. You know what I mean? So you feed some information that I'm going to do these things, and I'm learning, let's say I'm reading a book and I want to remember all the things that are given in the book, but I'm constantly only reading and reading and reading, and that's why I don't remember any words from the books at the end. So the way I can fix it is by taking small breaks. And this is my suggestion. I don't remember like if he gave like a time frame on this, but I would say after every 25 minutes, you should take a break for 5 minutes. If that's not possible, at least a break of 1 minute. And if you cannot leave your seat and walk out of the meeting room, then you can just, tune out of the conversation, stop listening. I know as human beings, we have that superpower to be physically available in conversations and in meetings, and to be mentally unavailable. Do that, but consciously, knowingly, decidedly. You know what I mean? And you'll see your brain catches things so much faster that way. If you weren't understanding a point or the whole presentation that was going on, your brain will finally start to catch up, and it will have quality questions that you can then raise. So that's definitely my number 2. So we've done 3 videos so far. So here are the next 2 videos. Obviously, I cannot forget to put something from the Joe Rogan Experience. That is a podcast run by Joe Rogan. He is a master podcaster, and I guess he runs the most successful podcast in all of America. Now, I'm talking about an episode that's simply called Joe Rogan Experience, #2223, Elon Musk. Obviously, you know the guy. He is mad intelligent. Joe Rogan himself is very honest about his experiences. I remember one time he was saying that even though I talk professionally, because he's a podcaster, so he said, even though I talk professionally, sometimes words just don't come out. You know what I mean? And he's a native speaker. I'm just trying to give you a little reminder that it happens to everybody. It's not like we only have bad hair days or bad skin days or bad makeup days. We also have bad speech days. And when we say we, I'm talking about all of us. Now, talking about the video, Elon Musk comes in, crazy intelligent guy. Listen to this conversation and you will see how relaxed Elon is when he has conversation. Even though I see like some people mock him for his style of speaking, but I really like it because it is very soothing. He has so many ideas to offer, but he is mostly very respectful in the conversation. And here he talks about so many things, but one thing that I'm going to remember for years to come is the relationship between steady hands and playing video games. So these are the kind of ideas that he brings on the table. So he said in the recent survey or research, it is found that doctors who play video games who are good at playing video games are much better surgeons than those who do not. Because as surgeons, you have to have a really good dexterity, right? Like mind and muscle connection or mind or hand connection. So you have to have really firm, steady hands. Your hands cannot be shaky, quaky. You know what I mean? And video game players are much better at that. Their brain and their hands are more in sync than other people who don't play the game. So this is something that really struck me, and they talk about a lot of other ideas. Definitely listen to this conversation. And this video was like right before the general presidential election in the country. So they also talk about politics a little bit. That's something that I take a personal interest in. You might not like it, but definitely listen to this conversation. It's going to be mind-bending. Alrighty, my next and the last video, I don't want to say that like this is my least favorite, because I could have come up with a much longer list. So these are my top 5, but number 5 is this video that is called Italian versus American Cooking Battle from the channel called Carlo and Sarah. Now they are a couple, and I like adore them. Their relationship is so cool. They're so crazy together and so lovely. Carlo is an Italian guy and Sarah is an American girl. They got married. Now they live in the US. And you'll see like Carlo, since he's an Italian and English is not really his forte, he speaks a different kind of English. So the reason I put this video is that it is really enjoyable. They're cooking and they'll use a bunch of vocabulary that you can still use directly in your own conversations, and also see how to be more accepting of people who speak with an accent. There's nothing wrong with having an accent, or having an Indian accent, or having an Italian accent, or having a Spanish accent. You'll see the confidence in this guy, even though sometimes it's hard for him to convey his feelings exactly. like he feels them to Sarah because she is an English speaker and I don't think Sarah speaks Italian, but that's their bonding is lovely and they're in love. They're a very beautiful couple. And since Sarah is an American, she's a native speaker of the language, she always tries to speak in very simple, plain English so as to be understandable to her husband. That is also something that is going to help you see how native speakers talk in their daily conversations and not just debates or podcasts. So that is also one of my suggestions. I personally like this couple because it is a bit funny to watch them do stuff around the house and prank each other and the rest of it. Alrighty, that is pretty much it about this video. It refreshed a lot of memories for me because I love these videos and I'm going to watch them again. I want you to do the same. At least watch the 5 of these videos once and you'll know why I love them. Come back and tell me the best part about these videos in the comments. And if you have any other favorite videos that you'd like to share with me or the audience, comment. I'll see you again in the next one.